Systems versus the artist. Which one are you and what should you be in a small business? Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. We're in a mini-series talking about business fundamentals and the foundational principles you need to have baked into your brain so that you see the world in a way that will let you achieve the success, the goals, the dreams that you have for your life and your small business. We covered a multitude of subjects so far in this mini-series. If you want, go watch some of the other videos. They're all the things I wished I would have known and had baked into my brain when I was first getting into business years ago. Today, though, we're talking about the artist versus the system. Have you ever known an artist? Growing up, I was a little bit of an artist. Not excellent. I know people who are absolutely excellent, and there's a characteristic and a trait about artists that is almost universal. Not quite, but almost universal. That characteristic and that trait is that everything they do is a creation. It comes from within their soul, and they're expressing themselves when they build something. Do you know anyone like that? Are you like that? When you're doing work, are you going in and solving it all as if it was a fresh new problem every single time? Years ago, that was me. I would come in and every decision I had to make, every problem I had to solve, every issue I had to have my fingerprints on to make sure that it was going to happen the right way. When I was first getting started with one of my businesses, I had a buddy. And he started his business at the same time, and he said something that just kind of got stuck in my brain. He said, "Hey man, we're both just starving artists." I was like, what does he mean by that? Now, he went on very quickly to scale his business up, doing millions of dollars, very successful. And it took me a long time before my business really started to take off. And what I realized was, while we were both starving artists when we started our business, he quickly shifted out of the artist mode into the system mode, which allowed him to scale up. I stayed stuck in artist mode for a long time in that business, and it held me hostage where I was at. So what does it mean to be in artist mode? Artist mode means that you have trouble taking the hat off and putting it on someone else's head. Artist mode means that you haven't built the systems that let that hat come off. When you have systems in place, you don't have to replicate yourself. When you're in artist mode, you say things like, "Man, I just wish I could find another one of me," or "It's impossible to hire good employees." Those are the kinds of statements that come from someone whose brain is stuck in artist mode instead of systems mode. Now, one of the pushbacks that I used to give, and maybe it's something you've heard other people say, or maybe you've said it yourself, is, "Yeah, but if I hand all that stuff off, or if I use systems, it's going to hold me back from doing the best for people and doing the greatest work and making sure that I'm going that extra mile and doing more than I want." Well, can you imagine for just a moment a business that shouldn't go the extra mile, that should do what they say? What if you went into the grocery store to buy a gallon of milk, and you never knew if you were going to get a gallon in one of those plastic jugs, or if they were going to be selling it to you and giving you a gallon in a glass jar that day, or maybe 2 gallons, and you come walking out of the store and you just never know what you're going to get. That's what happens when you're in artist mode. So I think most of us would agree it's pretty nice that I can go into a grocery store, grab a gallon of milk, and know I'm going to get a gallon of milk, and it hasn't expired yet. I know that it's going to have a couple of weeks until it's going to be expired. I know that it's going to be good milk that I can trust. Very simple system that you can rely on and you can trust, and you don't need someone going that extra mile. Now, let's flip that on its head. When is it good for someone to be in artist mode? Well, if I'm doing a remodel on my house, they can't really come in with a system to do the remodel because all of the walls are different, and every remodel is going to look different from every other remodel they do. So there's a lot of artist mode that comes in on the remodel. But even with the remodel, there's certain systems in place. They don't just put the studs wherever they feel like. There's certain rules that say studs have to go every so often in the wall. There's certain rules that say this is the way that you put the electrical in the walls. This is the way that outlets should go in. These are the ways you put the light switches in. This is how the lights are supposed to go. There's rules for all of that. And rules are kind of like the framework for a system. In your business, what rules and systems already exist? I would bet there's a ton of them. And I bet the more systematized you get on the things that don't need artists will make it so you have more time and more ability for the artist to truly do their work. Think about that last statement for just a second. In any business, there's a ton of things that can be systematized. There's a ton of things that can be organized or automated, and it doesn't require that artistic brain to come in and solve unique problems. So what if you were to take care of, maybe we'll make up a number, maybe 60% of your business is all systems, and that last 40% is the artist work. But because you're doing all 100% like an artist, it burns you out, it wears you out. But what if you took that 60% and you were able to put it on someone else's shoulders? Well, that just freed you up to do the high-end, hard-to-do work all the time, which means you can now level up your business, do more business, and then if you can have an artist just doing the artist job, you can actually bring an artist in and say, all you have to do is the art part. Let everyone else do the other part. And now you've created a factory where the work's just flowing from one person to the next to the next. Systems done right doesn't stifle. Systems done right enables the artist to live a better life.